Pranams to Sri Ramakrishna and greetings to all of you. We have been doing the parable of Sri Ramakrishna called the chameleon. In the last part, we saw some of the items of language which we can learn. We also read only the first part of the story, where we were told that in a wood or a forest, a man went and saw a very beautiful red-colored animal on a tree. When he came and told somebody it was red, the other person said, no, it is not red, it is yellow. Soon others also told them, yes, we have seen an animal, but it is not neither red nor yellow, it is blue or violet, and so on. They all started quarreling, and then they went to a person who lived under that tree. That person said, don't worry, the chameleon has all those colors. Sometimes it has no color at all. That is the first part of the story. Now, what is Sri Ramakrishna trying to teach us, trying to tell us by using this story? Let us see how we can see the second part. I'll read out the second part of the story, and then we can look at the value, which is very, very significant in today's world. It was always significant in the past and the present. It will continue to be important in the future. But today, I think it is most important because many of our quarrels are sorted out by this story. So, continuation of what we did earlier. This is the second part of the story. In like manner, that means similar to the story, similar to the chameleon and the colors and the people quarreling and all that. One who constantly thinks of God can know his real nature. If you're sitting under the tree, if you're living under the tree, you know the chameleon. Similarly, in the same way, in a like manner, those who constantly think of God can know his real nature. But what do we have today? We have quarrels in the name of religion. God is a part of religion. All the knowledge and the rituals surrounding God, all the philosophy surrounding God is called religion. But why is it so many people are quarreling about religion? Because they are not really constantly thinking about God's real nature. Now look at the word real nature. Now, this idea of real nature is very important. He alone knows that God reveals himself to seekers in various forms and aspects. Now, who is this he? Like the man who sits under the tree, he is the man who is near God, who is constantly thinking of God, who has understood the real nature of God. So, what does he know? He knows that God can reveal himself, God can show himself, God can appear in front of people, in their eyes, in their mind, in various forms and aspects. This is very, very important. So, God is not singular. Each individual can visualize God in a different way. That is the crux of Sri Ramakrishna's contribution. People who heard Sri Ramakrishna saying this, or even today, who heard people who read about Sri Ramakrishna saying that as many paths are there to the same goal as there are people. He said it in Bengali, Joto Moth Toto Poth. As many different minds are there, as many different temperaments are there, as many different types of people are there, so many paths are there to God. So there is not only a single path, that this only will lead to God. Every other path is also leading to God, because each individual or each denomination, each community thinks differently. You cannot force it. You cannot do it. People think that this is the greatest idea. Sri Ramakrishna is hailed as a great intellectual, innovative genius. That is, people who appreciate this idea that, as many paths, so many ways. The way and the path, the temperament and the path, various forms and aspects of God, not single God, but different forms, depending on your capability. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell a beautiful story about this. He used to say that the mother has many children. She knows which kind of child has what digestive power. Of all the children, somebody who has good digestion, very rich food. Somebody who has a weak stomach, very gentle, weak, light food. Somebody else who likes food in a different way. So if there are 10 children, 10 different dishes of the same thing. Because he is from Bengal, he would give the example of fish. So the mother cooks the fish 10 different ways for 10 different children, because the fish is the same, but the ability of the child to digest is different. So you can imagine various forms and aspects. We should never deny what others are saying as true. In the earlier part, I mentioned to you that Sri Ramakrishna used to say that your watch is not the only watch which gives correct time. There are others also who give correct time. Your watch might not be exactly accurate. You can also think others are accurate. But what are we doing today? We are saying that there is no variety. It always has to be the same. It always has to be what I think is right. If you don't think like me, I will quarrel with you. Like, all the people who saw the different colors of the chameleon started quarreling with each other. Or I can go to worse things. I will destroy you. I will kill you. I will, destroy your entire culture, civilization, group, anything. These are all ideas which we have to change. See how he says that he alone knows, that God can be of any variety, any form, any aspect. God has attributes. If you say God is very kind, God is very generous, God is all powerful, these are called attributes, the qualities which we assign. So we say, oh, God is very cruel, I did not get what I wanted. Tomorrow you get what you want. Then you say, oh, God is very kind. So we are giving these attributes to God depending on our changing perspective. Then again, he has none. God might be limitless. It might be something which we cannot understand. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell the story of the salt doll. He says, you want to describe God? It is impossible to describe. A salt doll said, I will measure how deep is the ocean and I will come and tell you. But remember that when salt mixes with water, the salt disappears. You cannot find the salt in the water. So the salt doll merges in the ocean. It cannot come and tell us the depth. So that is the non-attribute nature of God. God is indescribable. God is unthinkable. God is much beyond. The great Shankaracharya, when he spoke about the Advaita Vedanta, non-dual knowledge. This is what he said. People come to it by denying, not this, neti, neti. These are all parts of our system. Because what we call as Sanatana Dharma, what we call today as Hinduism, might have many versions of different gods and different attributes. Does it mean we need to quarrel with each other? Or India is a place of multiple religions, religious plurality. That is the greatness of our country. So can we say that any one religion is better than the other? Any one religion is true? This leads to quarrels. This leads to enmity, the feeling that, you know, we are not the same. We are not Indians. We subscribe to only our religion. We say we are majority, we are minority, we are deprived, we are second-class citizens, we are not given importance. All these things we keep saying because we look at ourselves from a very narrow point of view. And that narrow point of view is our understanding that the chameleon is only one color. Now, see how important the example of the chameleon is? That the chameleon is not one color. Please do not think of it as one color. We look at the sky. We say the sky is blue. We say that the sun, the rising sun is orange. But these are only our perceptions. These are not the reality, because the antariksha, or the universe, as we say, the whole void, that is colorless. It doesn't have color. All these ideas Sri Ramakrishna wanted to explain. That is why he practiced all religions. Not only within Hinduism, he started by worshipping first Sri Krishna, in the temple Radhakanta in Dakshineshwar. Then he worshipped Mother Kali. So we have Vaishnavism, we have Shaktism. Then, of course, he also, there are 12 Shiva temples. So that is totally different, the Shaivite religion. Then he also did, he also practiced Tantra. He also practiced Advaita because his gurus came. The gurus taught him this. Then one day he wanted to practice Christianity. He gave up all his ideas about all what he had practiced lifelong, and he merged into the consciousness of the Christian faith. He gave up entirely Kali worship, going to the temple, etc., and practiced Islam. His gurus were Sufi Islamists. And from there, he merged into the consciousness of Islam. So he tried whatever he could. He had great faith for Guru Nanak. Many Sikh disciples would come to him, devotees who would talk to him a lot. He would say that the teachings of Guru Nanak are really great. Buddha, as his disciple Vivekananda, again and again talks about Buddha. So Buddhism, all these religions formed a complete unit in his mind. He did not deny any of them. He did not say they are not true. He said they are equally true. He gave a wonderful example, and that is the example of going to collect water. He said, you have a pond. In those days, we didn't have municipal water. People would go to a pond and get drinking water for themselves. There was not much pollution, so they could drink that water. Today, we purify even the water which comes supplied by the municipality. We purify it through machines, and then only we drink it. So Sri Ramakrishna gives this example of collecting water from a pond. He says, to one place in the pond, the person goes, he's saying Bengali, and says jol. Jol is water in Bengali. Another person, the place, the, Urdu-speaking person goes, the Islam, the Muslim, the Maulvi goes, and he says, pani, or he uses the word which they use. And then he says that the Britishers, at that time, there were many Britishers in India because they were ruling the country. He says they go and they collect the water. They call it water. So you have different names, If I talk about the Telugu language here, where I live in Hyderabad, we say Nilu. And then, you have other words. You have a Sanskrit word for it. You have words in different Indian languages, which are different. You have so many foreign languages where the word water is different. But what about the water? Does it change? It still remains the same scientific formula, the same drink which all of us like to have whenever we drink, because a part of our body, a huge part of our body is water. So the water is the same, but people's language is making it different. So he says, only the man who lives under the tree knows that the chameleon can appear in various colors. So who is the man? No. He's talking about knowledge. So what kind of a mind you should have? If you really want to solve your problem, your quarrels, please change your own mind. Please change your thinking, because when you know closely, when you really know closely what you are practicing as your religion, as your ritual, as your, the various aspects of what you are doing for your faith. But you must know, you must not do it blindly. You must not just follow because somebody is telling you, you just follow. That is not the way to go about it. So the person who knows that the chameleon knows that it can appear in various colors. He knows further, in addition, he also knows that the animal at times has no color at all. So you cannot describe always as, God is sitting in heaven and God is giving us blessings, etc. How beautifully Sri Ramakrishna is telling us that, there is a God which is attributeless. So when foreigners came to India and they said that Indians are uncivilized because they are worshipping some idols, they are worshipping mud, or they are worshipping, stone, or they are worshipping trees and animals, even snakes they are worshipping. So they are uncivilized. Then what is this telling us? That different people require different ways of worship. So one person requires the worship of the tree. So leave that person to worship the tree. Don't interfere with that person, because ultimately the worship of the tree or the worship of, in a temple or a church or a mosque is all different versions of the same thing. Because sometimes God is attributeless. Sometimes God is with attributes. Depends on the devotee. Does not depend on God. You cannot say that my God is become false because I believe like this. So how Sri Ramakrishna is trying to expand your thought, expand your mind. Sri Ramakrishna is trying to tell you that, this kind of a blindness, mental blindness, not physical blindness, this kind of blindness creates problems in the world. Today, if you find the maximum quarrels which are going on in the world, the entire cause of the Second World War was kill the Jews. Again, religion. The Christians did not want the Jews to be alive. But did Christ say kill the Jews? Christ himself was born in a Jewish family. So you can imagine how short-sighted we are. We are saying that, the Vaishnavites will not go into a Shiva temple. The Shaktas will eat something which the Vaishnavites will not eat, or the Shaivites will practice in such a way that they will not tolerate anything else. So we are doing, Ganapati worship is something different. Different, saints and sages have their own temples. Their worship is different. So what are we doing? Are we not creating quarrels within ourselves? Forgetting that each person has a requirement, particular requirement, you take particular thing. In our culture, we say whenever a happy occasion comes, have a sweet, muh meetha kar lene. And for a person who's suffering from diabetes, that is not a celebration. It is a curse because that sweet is not allowed for you. So can we say that sweet is bad? We cannot say sweet is bad. We can say that some temperament can accept the sweet, some others cannot accept it as happiness because for them it is sorrow, it is not happiness. So he says that at times it has no color at all. It is the others who suffer from the agony of futile argument. The person who knows has no argument, accepts all religions as true. Whereas others who do not think like that, they have pain, agony, suffering. And what do? They go on arguing with each other. They go on torturing or killing each other. If you go to Auschwitz, you'll see how, the crematorium is still there, where thousands and thousands of people were burned. Why were they burned? Because of their religious conviction. This has been happening in history. Hundreds of years ago, it was happening. And today also it is happening. Our culture does not teach us this because our culture, even if we say Hinduism, itself is pluralistic. Hinduism cannot be the name of one set of ideas, one kind of worship, one book or one ideology. It has multiple stages, which are like the staircase. Step number 1, some people can only climb up to that point. Step number 10, some other can climb up to that point. So you can see, if we are arguing because we say my religion is correct and yours is not correct, that means we are futile argument. Futile is useless, senseless, of no value argument, constantly fighting with each other. So if you are doing useless fighting, useless quarreling, that means you have no knowledge. So the first thing to do is acquire knowledge. Acquire knowledge not only of what you believe in, but what all others believe in. Is it red, your religion? Is it yellow, somebody else's religion? Is it blue, somebody else's religion? Is it violet, somebody else's religion? All these 5 are correct. All the colors are there in the chameleon. So every religion is correct. But sometimes it is much beyond all these religions because the practitioners of the religion have stopped at that point. They have stopped at a certain point. Go beyond it, you will find unity. There is a beautiful song by one of the famous pop singers of Britain. They came to India to learn this idea and the song. It is a song of Vedanta. You can hear it. It is called We Were Talking. And the name of the song, if you search on YouTube, Within You and Without You, that is the name of the song. He says that whatever is within you is also without you. So if within you, you have a picture of God, that is there in everyone around you. He says that we are quarreling because we have not understood. Beatles was a very popular song. They sang, about topics which were never sung in those days. They sung about LSD, which was a great drug and all. So they were considered to be a revolutionary group, a rebel group. But today what we have, rebel groups are all becoming terrorists. We don't have them becoming musicians. In the 60s, 1960s, these were the revolutionaries, but they were not killing people. They were conquering people by singing. They sang beautiful songs. So if you listen to this song after, reading this story, you will see how we have this Vedantic principle, which cannot be said that, it is only our religion. Vedanta is not really only our religion. Vedanta is a spiritual tradition which is for the whole world. We use the term Vedanta, but we can use it for the whole world. That is what Sri Ramakrishna's story tells us. God is attributeless. God is colorless. God is not something we imagine. Our imagination creates a God which we worship. It might be a holy book like you find in the Gurdwara. It might be the symbol of a cross, which you might find, Christ on the cross in the Roman Catholic Church, or only the symbol-less, Protestant church. You might find it in the postures in a mosque. All the, the namaz timings and the way in which the namaz is read. These are all parts of that Advaita, non-dualism. So none of them are different. None of them are something we should quarrel about. This was the idea of Sri Ramakrishna, because he saw all around him people quarreling with each other about religion. Because he lived at a time when the Britishers were ruling India, there was a lot of missionary activity, forced conversion. People converted to Christianity not by willingness or not by knowledge or understanding, but because they got some money, they got some benefits, they got a job, and so on. 5 generations later, they still say, oh, we were Brahmins. Now, you cannot subscribe to Brahmanism because it is not there in Christianity. Brahmanism is there in, what you left behind. Therefore, forced conversion. I remember some great person, spoke about all people in India were originally Hindus. This created a huge controversy. They said, how can you say that? Because all your forefathers were either they had come from other places. They might have come from Persia. They might have come from the, main Islamic countries, or they might have come from European countries, settled down here, brought their religion, and converted Indian people to their religion. 500 years back, or 1,000 years back, or 200 years back, but all of them were converted. So if you go back 1,000 years, you will find your roots in Hinduism. But if you have changed your religion, is there a harm? There is absolutely no harm, because you found that your temperament is more suited to that religion. Like, the person sitting under the tree knows the chameleon. So be like that, by saying, okay, in my temperament, the religion to which I was born is not suitable. Let me go into others. We are not doing that. We are going for some other reason. Either somebody is brainwashing us, that is militancy in religion. They completely take youngsters and they brainwash them. Or we are going because of material gain, some extra, money, some extra name and fame, some extra opportunities, a job, etc. So these are not knowledge. These are not realization. This is what Sri Ramakrishna is teaching us. Sri Ramakrishna, by using this story of the chameleon, is telling us about this. Now, why did I say this is so important today? Because of social media. Now, social media has given us the ability to express ourselves. But we find that people on social media have not got that open mind which Sri Ramakrishna is talking about. Constantly, there are quarrels on Twitter. terrible things happening on Facebook. Some propaganda is put. All these things, WhatsApp messages are trying to give you negative ideas to brainwash you completely. What does it show? It shows that we are so weak-minded, so our minds are being totally brainwashed to think that the chameleon is only one color. Go back to the story that to make us believe that the chameleon is only one color, that the chameleon cannot be every color and no color, is being denied to us by social media. So if we become social media savvy, that is, if we become very capable of handling the social media, giving positive ideas, not negative ideas, giving positive ideas and allowing people to contradict our positive ideas also. You say, okay, you have something against me. Please speak out. I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to, without getting angry or without threatening you that I will kill you, I'm willing to argue with you. I'm willing to follow you. That is the process of the, parliamentary democracy. The parliament is supposed to be a temple of this kind of argument. Everybody politely speaks, others politely question and politely answer. They don't abuse each other. They don't say you are wrong. They say politely that you might have to reconsider. These qualities we have lost. We have become more and more narrow-minded. So the story of the chameleon gives us wonderful ideas of how not only we, but the entire society, the entire world needs to change. Because many wonderful philosophies, like the philosophy of Karl Marx, are being misinterpreted and used as torture machines. They should be used for benefiting people. They are used for harming people. Great prophets, great saints, great savants, their ideas are being misused. So this simple story, just 2-paragraph story by our Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa tells us about all this. With this, let us close this story. Namaste and thank you.